Okay, so and last week we discussed five qualities of the Lord, and we also discussed how Valmiki Ramayana is a special scripture because this is one of the only scriptures, or in fact, the only scripture which begins with discussing the qualities of the Lord. No other literature or no other Vedic literature begins directly by uh, describing the qualities of the Supreme Lord. So that is why Valmiki Ramayana is very special and very dear to the pure devotees of the Lord. So last week we discussed Ono Asmi Sampratam Loke Gunavan. Gunavan, we discussed what that means. So we discussed Gunavan means Saushiliam, which means the ability of the Lord to mix and associate with everyone. So that was Gunavan. Kashya Viryavan we discussed the different meanings of Viryavan also. Dharmagnya, Kritagnya, and Satyavakya. We discussed these five qualities. So because there are 16 qualities, we still have 11 more qualities to go. So let's see how we go. And we may extend it for longer if needed, but idea is hopefully we can finish it in time. So next one is Dhradavrata. So Dhradavrata means what? Dhradavrata generally, like those who understand Hindi, you can understand that Dhradavrata means one's like whose resolution or one whose determination is fixed. Means that essentially Valmiki Ramayana describes it as once someone starts an expedition or once someone starts a project, he does not stop until the task is completed. So basically, Rama's determination was absolute. Like you could not stop determination at all. And we see many examples of this in Valmiki Ramayana itself. The first one is when actually, does anyone want to share any examples you might think are relevant in this case? How Lord Ram's determination is fixed.
He was offered to go back to the kingdom, I think,
Hmm.
by Bharat, but then he
Hmm.
obviously said he has to follow his guru's orders. So that is one determination, I would say.
Yeah. Actually, his father's orders. Even his guru tried to convince him. Vasishtha and Jabali, all of these personalities, they tried to convince him to go back, but still he did not change his determination. So once he had made his vow that he is going to go to the forest, he stuck to it. So that is probably the best example of Dhradavrata, where he was completely fixed in his vow. Any others? I mean, Rama in every canto, every kanda, there is description of this quality actually.
One that determination, I would say, that he committed to Sita ji, that in their kul they would do so many weddings,
Hmm.
marriages, but he definitely said that he was determined that he would only do one. So I
Hmm.
would count that as a determination.
Yeah, definitely. That also is mentioned by Acharyas. Patni Vrata, he had taken that. He would only take one wife. Even though he was the ruler of the whole world, still, and his wife was no longer with him, especially after he went back to Ayodhya. Sita Devi had gone into the earth. So, yeah, he was very determined in that case also. Any other examples?
Prabhu, in Aranya Kanda, when says is plead Lord Ramachandra for their protection from Khara and Dushana,
Hmm.
then he at that time proclaimed that if he has to leave Lakshmana or Sita at that time to protect those sages, he will protect them.
Hmm. That's right. Yeah. So that is a very major one actually, because it shows how it's relevant for us. So in actually in Yuddha Kanda, when Vibhishan comes to take Sharanagati of the Lord, at that time Lord Ram says, Sakrudeva Prapannaya Tava Smiti Chayachate Abhayam Sarva Bhutebhyo Dadami Etad Vritam Mama. So just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, surrender unto me and I will give you protection, do not fear. Like this in Yuddha Kanda, he is saying, so Lord Ram is saying that it is my determination, Vritam Mama. He says, that is my determination, that if anyone takes shelter of me, I will give him full protection, he says. So then we see that in the Aranyakand, so in the forest, basically what happens is that all the sages come and they try to seek protection of the Lord, because the sages are being tormented by so many Rakshasas. So they seek shelter of the Lord, and Lord promises that, yeah, he will give them protection. So then he starts killing all of the demons or all of the Rakshasas. So at that point, Sita Devi, she questions this act of Rama. She says that actually it's not appropriate for Rama to give them, to have animosity with the Rakshasas. She says that, we have come to the forest. We are meant to be living like hermits. We are meant to be living like vanprasthas. And it is not appropriate that we take arms up against the Rakshasas. She says we don't have any personal animosity against the Rakshasas. Then she also gives an example. She says that, I'm worried that if you keep fighting, then you may become infected with Rajasguna, she says. And she gives the example. She says that once upon a time there was one sage who was performing lots of tapasya. And this sage, as he was performing tapasya, Indra grew increasingly worried. He became scared that this sage will take over his position in Indraloka. So at that time, this Indra, he goes to, he sends all kinds of apsaras to obviously disturb this sage's tapasya. But this sage's tapasya was not disturbed by the apsaras, because he knew it is ultimately all Maya, anyways. So then Indra did not know what to do. So he came up with a very clever idea. What he did was he went down to the sage and he personally congratulated him. He said that, you are like the most self-controlled sage I've ever seen. And he says that, like, I've come to offer my respects to you. He says that actually I have a meeting with Lord Brahma upstairs, and he says that I need to leave my sword here. So please look after my sword, and then when I come back, I will pick up my sword. So then at that point, Indra left, and that sword was just in the Rishi's ashram the whole time. So now the sage, every morning, he would see the sword in his ashram, and he would, like, just think about it, think about using it, but he would never use it. But eventually, what happened is, as the Rakshasas, they grew in number and all of that, the temptation to use the sword increased. And one day, he just, as the Rakshasas were tormenting him or troubling him, he actually picked up the sword, and he used the sword to kill some of the Rakshasas who were bothering him. And it is described that if a Brahmana uses weapons, he loses all of his austerities in one go. So just by associating with the sword, uh, just by seeing that sword every day in his ashram, he became a victim to using that sword. So um, that is why Sita Devi also recites this story. She says that, if we keep killing these Rakshasas, then eventually we will develop a thirst for killing them. And she says that is not good. So then at that point, Rama tells Sita that actually I have given my promise to protect the um, sages in Dandakaranya. And he says that even if I have to let go of you or Lakshmana, he says that I would be willing to do so, but I cannot let go of my promise to save the rishis. So then he actually then implores Sita. He says that actually you, being my dharma patni, should actually assist me in following this vow that I've taken of protecting all of the sages. So yeah, this is basically how Lord Rama was Dhritavrata. And actually, this concept of Dhritavrata was not just there in Rama, but it was there in his ancestry also. So one of the ancestors of Lord Ram was known as Dilipa. And this Dilipa also has quite an interesting story, actually. So Dilipa, one day he obviously had no son as well. I think this concept of having no sons ran in their ancestry. I'm just saying that as a joke, anyways. But yeah, so Dilipa also did not have a son. So one day he goes to Vashishta and asks him that, like, I want to have a son. Why am I not able to have a son? So then Vashishta tells him that actually once upon a time you did not pay obeisances to Mother Surabhi. So Surabhi is a cow who was there in Indraloka. And he said that you offered obeisances to Indra and you offered obeisances to the other demigods, but you did not offer obeisances to Surabhi. So at that time, Surabhi had cursed you that until you serve my offspring or my child, you will not get a child of your own. So as Dilipa heard about this curse, he asked Vashishta, what can you do about it? So then immediately Vashishta asked Surabhi to come and bring her daughter Nandini. Nandini cow came. And, Vashishta said, go and look after this cow. You have to serve this cow, Nandini. So then next day, Nandini wanted to go to the forest and, eat some grass. So the king and his wife, Dilipa and his wife, they both followed the cow. They would clean the cow's back. They would give it food, water, everything. They looked after its comforts, etc. And then they came back. The next day only the king decided to go. So the king decided to go with the cow, and the cow entered into a cave. And as Dilipa was just admiring the beauty of the cave, immediately a large lion jumped on top of the cow, and he had the cow in his mouth. So Dilipa immediately, when he saw that the cow was being attacked, he immediately took out his bow and arrow, and he wanted to fire arrows at the cow. Sorry, at the not cow, but at the lion. But he noticed that his bow and arrow completely froze. He could not move even one bit. So he felt this is very unusual, very strange. So then the lion changed its form, and he said that actually he is a servant of Mahakaleshwar, or none other than Shiva. And he says that he had been performing a fast for last 6 months, and he said now it's time for him to break his fast. So he said that by God's grace, this Nandini cow walked right into my abode. So he said that now it's right for me to eat this cow. So Dilipa said that no, you cannot eat this cow. He said, I will try to fight. So then at that point, the lion, he became very impressed, and he said that, you're willing to fight to protect this cow, but you don't realize that I am like one of the associates of Lord Shiva. He says, you will not have any standing in battle against me. You're just an ordinary human being, and I am like an extraordinary personality. He says, I need to break my fast and I have caught this cow. So he says, what I will do is I will give you thousands of other cows. So you go and give your guru these thousands of other cows, and be happy with them, and let me eat this cow. So then Dilipa says that actually, no. He says, I've promised my guru that I will protect this cow, even if it means I have to lay down my own life. So he says that it is better that you eat me rather than you eat this cow. So then the monster became very impressed, and he said, okay, so be it. So then he says that, okay. So then as soon as the monster jumped on top of Dilipa to eat him, Dilipa just stood motionless at that point, and he offered himself to the big monster. But at that time, the illusion that was created immediately vanished, and Dilipa found himself just standing in front of the sage Vasishtha, the cow Surabhi, and Nandini. So all three of them were standing there, and they were very impressed by Dilipa's behavior. Then Nandini says that actually she is a divine cow, and she says that, nothing can touch me at all. She says that what puny lion or follower of Shiva can touch me? She says I am actually immortal. No one can kill me. But she says, seeing your bhakti towards your guru and towards the cows, she says, I'm very impressed. And she says that now you will be able to have a son. So you can see that Dilipa was happy to sacrifice his own life, but he did not want to go back on a word that he had given to his guru. And that is why in India, especially, they have that very popular saying, Raghukul Riti Sada Chali Aayi, Pran Jai Par Vachan Na Jai. Raghukul, which means that this is there in Raghukula, that once they make a decision or once they give a promise to anyone, they do not go back on that promise. And we see this in the character of Dilipa also. So, yeah, this is the quality of the Lord known as Dridhavrata. But for us, the most important is that the Lord takes a promise to protect us also if we take shelter of the Lord. Dadami etad vritam mama. Okay. Any questions on that? I think that's quite straightforward. Okay. So,
Hare Krishna, Rohini.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
So how do you explain that, when we get married, or obviously when Rama got married to Sita, that time he must have vowed that, he will protect his Ardhangini, Sitaji, but then he has to abandon just because of this Dhobi. So, what
Hmm.
about the determination there or the commitment he gave to her in front of Agnidev?
That's true. Well, firstly, the answer is that Rama did not divorce Sita, as many people think. He left her in the hermitage of Valmiki. And Valmiki is actually described as being the brother of Sita. And so, why? Because Valmiki is considered a son of the earth, because Valmika or ant hills are considered to be the ears of the earth. And because Valmiki arose from an ant hill, he is considered to be a son of the earth. And so is Mother Sita. Mother Sita is a daughter of the earth because she also appeared from the earth. So actually, she was none other than a sibling, you could say, of uh, what do you call it? Of Valmiki. Now, behind the reason why Lord Ram had to abandon Sita, I covered a class, I think, in Madhurya Leela Mataji's house once, where I explained five different reasons why Lord Ram had to seemingly separate himself from Sita. And one of those reasons is that he was cursed by Bhrigu Muni because Lord Vishnu had killed Bhrigu Muni's wife, Kavya Mata, because she was giving shelter to the Rakshasas. So at that time, Bhrigu Muni cursed Lord Vishnu that just like how I am feeling separation from my wife, you will also have to feel separation from your wife. So then Lord Vishnu took it upon him and he said, so be it. So then this is one of the reasons why Lord Ram was forced to separate himself from Sita. So there is a bigger discussion on dharma there. Like, can a king continue to rule when his own character is under question? So the answer is no, the king cannot. Nowadays, it doesn't matter. But back in the day, the answer was that if the king's character was under question, he had no authority to rule at that point. So we see many kings who would either fix themselves or they would remove themselves or any notorious element. In fact, there was one king, it is explained in Bhagavatam, I think it comes at pastime, where there was one king and he saw that he had six children, six sons, and all these six sons were complete rascals and they were not fit to become the king. So while the sons were sleeping, the king personally goes and kills all of those six sons because he says, I cannot let any of them become the king. And then he instead appoints someone else from the kingdom, another person, another child who had Kshatriya qualities and who was Dhyutiman, you could say. He appointed that child as the ruler of the kingdom. So Kshatriyas had a very, very big responsibility of making sure that their character and their name was quite preserved, and because otherwise he will not be able to rule the kingdom. And yeah, so that is one of the reasons. Then there is a third reason that there were asuras who needed to be killed, and they could only be killed if, or they could only be sent to hell if Vishnu separated from Sita. And behind that also there is a very long story, but I won't get into it. And that was also another one of the reasons why Lord Ram had to separate himself from Mother Sita, especially eventually. So yeah, I will. Is that sufficient for now? I can share the link of the other class if you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So next one is next quality of the Lord is Charitrena Chakoyukta. Charitrena Chakoyukta is it means that one whose character is completely impeccable, which means essentially that he follows all of the rules of the Vedas completely. So without deviation. So of course, like when we talk about having one's character as being impeccable, the Vedas describe four or five different aspects of one's character, which actually shape one's character, which you will find that they don't really exist nowadays in the world. So the first one is that elders need to be respected. The second one is that parents need to be respected. Third one is that Shastra needs to be followed. And the fourth one is that one should be God conscious also. So these are, you could say, the summary of all of the Shastras. The Shastras essentially ultimately culminate in these four important characteristics. So starting from the beginning, giving respect to elders, we know that Rama and actually all four brothers used to give a lot of respect to the elders. So, like for example, we see that when Vishwamitra came to take Lord Ram says Kinkarau Samupasthitau, which means that I am your servant. And Kinkarau actually means not just means that I am a servant, but it means that I am eager to serve and I'm looking for more service. So Lord Ram always showed respect to the elders. And this is one of the qualities that the Ayodhya Vasis also say when Lord Ram is about to be coronated as the king. They also mention that, Lord Ram is extremely respectful to all of our elders. Whenever we have any program in our house, he is always there and he is always offering respect to all of the elders, even though he is the prince and the king and he does not have to, but he still does it. So Lord Rama always offered respect to the elders. Now, you might say there is a counter example of this or a counter argument that when Lord Ram was in the forest and Bharata wanted to bring him back into the kingdom, at that time we see that many elders came, like Vashishta, Jabali, and all of these great personalities came to take Lord Ram back. But Lord Ram did not listen to them. So, how can we say that Lord Ram used to respect the elders? So if someone asks you this, you say that, oh, okay, well, you're saying that Lord Ram always used to respect his elders, but here we see that Lord Ram is not really respecting his elders. So then how do you counter that argument?
He is still respecting his elders by keeping the vow of he is not returning to Ayodhya, that his father uh, asked him not to come. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. So there are sometimes you will have conflicting orders. So you will have an order from one elder, and at the other time you will have another order from another elder, which are completely contradictory. And it is not possible for a person to follow contradictory orders, you can say. So then the person has to choose which order is for his self-benefit and which order is for his pleasure. Like obviously Vashishta and Jabali, they want Lord Ram to come back to the kingdom for Rama's own pleasure. But Dashratha's order was ultimately for his welfare. So it is that is why it is explained that he eventually picked the path which was welfare means that it was according to the rules of dharma, like it was where Rama had to suffer. So that is why he picked that path. Where he would have to suffer rather than where he would be benefited. So, like for example, if we are given two choices, one where we are being I don't know, like if one is against our favor, and another elder comes and says, no, 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 it's okay. You don't have to be so harsh on yourself. It's okay, just live life. It's okay, don't worry about it. We will generally side with the elder who is trying to comfort us and giving us some kind of um, like protection from hardships. Like the classic example that is given is like generally, I mean, this is a general example that is there given in India. It may not be relevant in every case, but like generally the mothers, they want to pamper their children, and generally the fathers are stricter with their children. It may be different in different families, but one parent is generally trying to pamper the child, and another one is trying to comfort the child and want to act in their benefit by making them work hard and engaging them in different activities. Now it's up to the child which one he chooses to follow. He can either be comforted by one parent or he can follow the instructions of his other parent and work hard. Now, eventually, what will happen is that he will have to face the consequences of both. So, that is why Lord Ram decides to follow the instructions of his father Dashratha, even though they are difficult to follow, but they were ultimately for his benefit because he would gain the association of sadhus or saints in the forest. And that is why he chose to follow that instruction, even though it was seemingly hard. So there is no fault in Rama when he chooses to follow the instructions of his father over that of even your Kul Guru. Not the spiritual master, because there are different types of gurus. There is a Kul Guru and there is an Adhyatmic Guru. So you can reject the order of the Kul Guru in front of your parents. Like let's say your parents say something and your Kul Guru says something. Your parents would generally have a higher say in that. And according to dharma, like you don't come running after me why you said like that. But according to dharma, the order of the father is higher than that of the mother, and the order of the mother is actually higher than that of the Kul Guru. That is explained in Shastra. But the order of the Adhyatmic Guru, or the spiritual master, like in the real sense of spiritual master, is higher than that of the father also. So if there is a contradiction, the person should choose to follow the order of the Adhyatmic Guru. So that is explained in Shastra. Um, so yeah, we see that Rama used to follow Shastra also. So, like for example, when they are in the forest, with Vishwamitra. So when Rama and Lakshmana are in the forest, at that time, Vishwamitra tells Lord Ram, he says, Kaushalya Supraja Rama, Purva Sandhya Pravartate, Uttishta Narashardula, Kartavyam Daiva Manhikam, which means that, so basically he is waking up. How many of you have heard Govinda Suprabhatam? Govinda Suprabhatam is the prayer they recite in Tirupati to wake up the Lord, and to wake up Lord Venkatesha. And this is the first verse of Govinda Suprabhatam, which actually comes from Valmiki Ramayana, where Vishwamitra is waking up Lord Ram. And he says that, it is time for you to wake up and bless the three worlds by performing all of your duties. Kartavyam Devam Anikam. So perform your divine duties, he says. So, which means that Lord Ram used to follow and used to perform his divine duties. And it is explained that even when Lord Ram was separated from Sita, he would still perform his Sandhya Vandan, even though he was completely out of order and completely unkempt. He would still perform his Sandhya Vandan and his daily duties. So even in times of hardship, Lord Ram was performing his duties. Now, in terms of God consciousness, we know that Lord Ram used to worship the deity of Narayan. So he had the deity of Sri Rangam that is there. So Sri Rangam, there is deity of Lord Ranganath in South India. So if you see that deity, actually that deity used to belong to the Ikshvaku Kula in Ayodhya. And this used to be worshipped by Lord Ram all the way from the time of Manu. This deity was there. And he gave this deity as a gift to Vibhishana for his help in the war, actually. And so that because Vibhishana wanted the association of Lord Ram, so Lord Ram gave this deity as a gift to him. So we know that Lord Ram used to worship this deity very nicely previously also. So Lord Ram shows all of the pillars of having a good charitra here. So charitrena chariko yukta means respecting the elders, respecting the parents, following Shastra, and being God conscious. So these are the four pillars of Charitra. Okay. Any questions on that, or no? I think it's quite straightforward, this one. The next one is Sarva Bhuteshu Kohita, which means Sarva Bhuteshu Kohita means that one who is engaged in the welfare of everyone. So one who is thinking about the welfare of everyone. So as we explained, there are two paths. There is one path called Pravritti and there is one path called Nivritti. So Pravritti means that path which in the beginning it feels like nectar, but then afterwards it is complete poison. Whereas Nivritti is in the beginning, it feels like poison, but at the end, it is completely filled with nectar. So, can anyone think of any example where Lord Ram was engaged in the welfare of other people, or how Lord Ram actually thought about other people's welfare by engaging them in this path of Nivritti rather than Pravritti, which initially.
Allowing the squirrel, monkeys, everybody to participate in making the Seta Bandhu.
I mean, there was no, they were doing it with pleasure and they were doing it with happiness. What about an incident where, a few incidents where initially it felt completely like poison? Like in this case, they were serving, they were very happy to serve.
Poison, okay.
Bharat Maharaj
Yeah.
come?
Sorry?
Bharat Maharaj.
Bharat Maharaj, what about him?
He instruct Bharat Maharaj, he didn't accept his Saranagati first, so that he wants to establish uh, Bani Sheva, so that people would praise Bharat Maharaj later in life. So he followed exactly what Rama says. He went back to Ayodhya and
Hmm.
he did the way Rama wants. And finally, when Rama come back, he praised Bharat in the whole crowd.
Hmm. Yeah, that is one nice example. So this is where Lord Ram did not accept to come back to the kingdom, but Bharata chose to engage in austerities till Rama comes back. And because of this, Bharata's character is glorified throughout the world. Everyone understood that Bharata was a pure devotee of the Lord. So this was something that was done by the Lord, which actually initially though seemed harsh, but actually it glorified the character of Bharat Maharaj even more. So yes, that is a very nice example. Then there are a few other examples, like how Lord Ram punished Sugriva. So Sugriva, as we know, after the Chaturmasya, he had actually completely forgotten about his promise that he had made to Lord Ram. And in fact, he was engaged in drinking and sense gratification. He completely forgot that he has to help Ram to find his wife as well. So then at that time, Lakshmana goes to Sugriva, and then he actually chastises him quite a lot, almost threatening him. And at that point, Sugriva comes to his senses. So, and then because of that, then Sugriva is also glorified, or Sugriva is accepted as not just a devotee of the Lord, but Lord Ram actually accepted him as one of his own brothers. So, this was ultimately for that chastisement was for Sugriva's eternal benefit. Then there is another one. Another example is also there. The very harsh example of Mother Sita's Agni Pariksha. So we know that after the war was over, Sita was forced to undergo Agni Pariksha. But that whole Agni Pariksha was actually for her own benefit because there were doubts being raised about her character, that she was there in Ravana's harem for over a year. So could it be possible that Ravana touched her at some point? Like in a year, how could it be possible that Ravana did not even touch her? So because of that, Lord Ram orchestrated this whole pastime where the purity and the effulgence of Sita's character is shown to the whole world, even at the cost of Rama's own reputation. Like nowadays, people they criticize Rama for having performed this activity. But actually, Rama did this so that Sita can be glorified in the whole world. So Rama's character was, or this is the characteristic of the Supreme Lord, that he wants to glorify his devotee, even if it comes at a cost of his own glorification. So Lord Ram does not care about his glorification, but he's worried about the character and the glorification of his devotees. So he will sometimes do things which don't make too much sense to us. And this is probably the best example of how Lord Ram is Sarva Bhuteshu Kohita, which means that he is engaged in the welfare of everyone. And yeah, he performed an act which people did not like in the beginning, you could say. So, yeah, any questions or comments on this one? No? Okay. So, now next one is Vidwan. Vidwan means what? Vidwan means actually, according to the definition, Vidwan does not mean one who is intelligent, just like that. Vidwan means one who is actually conversant or one who knows all of the Shastras. So, as we know, there are four Vedas and there are six Vedangas, which are Vyakarana, Shiksha, Chandas, Nirukti, Jyotish, Kalpa, etc. So we know that Rama had studied all of these Vedas and Vedangas under the jurisdiction of his Guru Vasishtha. But actually, there is another very practical definition of Vidwan. Vidwan means one who can understand or comprehend the flaws in another person, or one who can identify the flaws in something. Now, we know that Lord Ram used to look for even the good in someone who was bad. So, how is it possible that Lord Ram found flaws in people? So, there are two examples that I can think of in which Lord Ram found flaws. The first one was when Bharata came to get the Lord back to Ayodhya. At that time, there was one sage whose name was Jabali. And this Jabali actually was trying to convince Lord Ram to come back. But he was using atheistic arguments. So he was saying that, actually, there is no such thing as soul. Why are you worried about following the order of your father? Your father does not exist anymore. There is no such thing as, he says, like, why do you torture yourself? Just eat, drink, and be merry in this kingdom, etc., like that. But Lord Ram actually completely rejected him, and he quoted Shastras. He says that actually this philosophy of hedonism means just eat, live, and be merry. He said this is very dangerous, and this should not be practiced. And Lord Ram became angry at the sage Jabali. So this is one instance where we see that Lord Ram actually took out the flaws in someone's argument. There is one more incident where Lord Ram actually pointed out the flaws in someone else's arguments. Does anyone know where this happened? No. So this is actually when Vibhishan came to take shelter of the Lord. So when Vibhishan came to take shelter of the Lord, at that time, Lord Ram asked the monkeys, all of them, to give their opinion on whether Vibhishan should be admitted into the camp. And like all of them gave their own arguments eventually. So, and then after that, Hanuman gave his own argument. So basically, what were the two arguments that were given? There were essentially two kinds of arguments that were given. One type of argument was that Vibhishana is a Rakshasa and he cannot be trusted. Second type of argument, which was given by Hanuman, was that I don't think Vibhishana is just a Rakshasa. He is a devotee and therefore he should be admitted. The first argument is Rakshasa should not be admitted. Second one is devotee should be admitted. But what did Lord Ram do? Lord Ram actually, he heard everyone's arguments and he destroyed both arguments actually. So he destroyed all of the other monkeys, Sugriva, Nala, Nila, Jambavan, Angad. He destroyed their arguments and he also destroyed Hanuman's argument in that. Why? Because if we look back at the arguments, the first argument was a Rakshasa should not be admitted. Second one was a devotee should be admitted. What did Lord Ram do? Lord Ram at the end, he said, even if this is a Rakshasa, I will still admit him. So Lord Ram created a third path. So he basically destroyed the arguments of the monkeys. He destroyed the argument of Hanuman also. And eventually he gave his own proposition. He said that actually, um, even if Vibhishana is a Rakshasa, still he needs to be admitted. And this is probably one of the best incidents where Lord Ram was able to find flaws in not just one person, but in multiple different um, opinions that were given to him at that time. So, in fact, that is why the Acharyas also say, they say that doshaha tasya syat, which means that only one who is imperfect, that person becomes the object of the Lord's mercy. And that is what Lord Ram was showing. That even if one is a Rakshasa, even if one is of a bad character, even if one has no good qualities, still I will admit him if he seeks shelter at my feet. And this was something unique. This was something new. This was not presented before. And no one expected Lord Ram to say that. And this is what Lord Ram showed as well. That is why actually, like I was contemplating on it. And this really, that's why Valmiki Ramayana is considered to be like the topmost Ramayana. Like if you read the other Ramayans, like if you read, for example, I'm not wanting to pick a quarrel with any of the other Ramayans, but like it just shows. Like if you take Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas, for example, in Ramcharitmanas, what do we see? That when Hanuman went to Lanka, at that time he came across a house of Vibhishanam, and over there was Tulsi plant, and there was name of Ram written on the walls, and Vibhishana was taking the name of Lord Ram. It is described at that time. So then, when Vibhishana comes to take shelter of the Lord, it is described. Then at that time, according to Ramcharitmanas, Hanuman lists all the good qualities of Vibhishana, starting from he is actually a devotee of yours. So he says that, Lord, he says that Vibhishana chants your name. Vibhishana has Tulsi plant in his house, and like he helped me when he was in when I was in Lanka by arguing against his own brother, etc. Therefore, you should admit him. So now, what do we see? Then, when Lord Ram agrees to Hanuman's proposal in Ramcharitmanas, what is this? Can you move it? Yeah. So when we see that Lord Ram agrees with Vibhishana in Ramcharitmanas, or Lord Ram agrees with Hanuman in Ramcharitmanas, we see that Lord Ram is agreeing to admit Vibhishana because he is already a devotee of the Lord. He is not agreeing to accept Vibhishana because he is a Rakshasa. So actually, what Ramcharitmanas is showing is that if you want to be a devotee, if you want to be surrendered unto the Lord, you already have to be a devotee. Whereas Valmiki Ramayana is saying that you don't have to be a devotee even if you want to take shelter of the Lord. You can take shelter of the Lord and then He will still protect you and He will still look after you. So that is the greatness of Valmiki Ramayana. And that is why Valmiki Ramayana, like that is why Srila Prabhupada could see all of these things like from a very huge distance. And that is why Valmiki Ramayana is considered to be the most bona fide scripture and not any of the other Ramayans. Like they don't really glorify the character of Lord Ram as much as Valmiki Ramayana. And that is why Valmiki Ramayana should be read by devotees and not any other Ramayana. So, any questions on that one? Did that make sense eventually? That how he was so Vidwan?
Yes, bro.
Okay,
Thank you.
excellent. So now we will go to the next one. Vidwan Kaka Samarthascha. So Samartha means one who is capable, according to the dictionary. But actually, if we look at the real definition of Samartha, Samartha means that when the odds are not in your favor, you still um, make your ends meet. You still achieve your purpose. And that is called Samartha. Like expert. Like, there was this I think all of you know Chanakya, for example. Like Chanakya was just a simple Brahmana. And he was up against a huge dynasty of kings. And he single-handedly, through his intelligence, he was able to bring down the whole dynasty and establish Chandragupta Maurya as the king. So this shows that he was a Samartha, meaning that odds were all against him. But still, he turned the wave of the time and he used all factors in his favor to achieve his purpose. And then we know that there was, I don't know how many of you have seen, but like previously, before becoming a devotee, I saw this movie called 300. And 300 is essentially a movie about how there were 300 Greek soldiers who fought against 100,000 Persian soldiers. Now, they were about to win, but then essentially the point was that these 300 Greek soldiers were the topmost soldiers in Greece. They were the best of best soldiers. Whereas the Persians, they just had like their farmers and their blacksmiths and all of them. They created a huge army of 10,000 people or 100,000 people, but none of these men were capable. So we see that these 300 Greek men, they eventually killed like 20,000 of the Persian men. So 300 killing 200, like 20,000, that's completely unimaginable. But if one is capable, you can turn the tide in your favor. You can turn it, if the tide is against you, you can turn it into your favor. And we see that Lord Ram was also like that. So, in fact, to demonstrate this quality of his, you'll find this quite interesting actually, that to demonstrate that he is extremely capable, he sided with the weaker Sugriva rather than siding with Vali. Now, if you look at history, Rama was obviously without his wife. He was looking for his wife. And when he met Sugriva, Sugriva was completely powerless. Sugriva did not have a kingdom. Sugriva did not have the strength. He was running away from Vali. He was scared of dying. And he was in this mountain called Rishyamukha Parvat. And he did not have any ministers with him also. He just had Nala, Nila, and Hanuman and Jambavan. That's all. These were the only people along with Sugriva. So, whereas Vali, on the other hand, even Lord Ram knows that Vali had defeated Ravana once. So, when Ravana tried to attack Vali from behind, Vali just held him in his armpit and with his tail, and he took him all around the world. It's described 7 times he took him like that. So, if Lord Ram, like let's say we wanted to retrieve something, whom would you go for? Would you go for someone who is running for his life? Or would you go to someone who has already conquered the whole world? For us, it would be a no-brainer. Like we would go and ask Vali for his help. But Lord Ram actually chose Sugriva. Why? To show that anyone who is on Rama's side will ultimately benefit. So Rama does not really need anyone to fulfill his purpose. He can fulfill his purpose regardless, even by siding with the weaker side. And that is what Lord Ram shows. That Sugriva, who was not as powerful as Rama, Lord Rama still took his help rather than Vali's. So that is one example. Then there is a second example also of Lord Rama showing his what do you call it? Samartha quality, which is that when Vibhishana came to seek shelter of the Lord, all of the Rakshasas were saying that, um, known like Vibhishana is a Rakshasa, he can harm you, etc. Maybe it is Ravana who has come in disguise. They were all saying things like that. But then what did Lord Ram say? Lord Ram said that actually, if I want, I don't need any of you to kill Ravana. He said, while sitting in this land of India, he said, with the little tip of my finger, he says, with the tip of my little finger, he says, I can crush Ravana and his entire kingdom. He says, I don't need any of you. So Lord Ram actually, through that statement in Yuddha Kanda, when speaking to the monkeys, he showed that he actually does not need anyone at all. Of course, he's the Supreme Lord, so he does not need anyone at all. And the third example is that when the Lord actually took Vibhishana's proposal, so when the Lord wanted to know how he can cross the kingdom, how he can cross the ocean, at that time, he knew how to cross the ocean. But still, he asked Vibhishana, okay, what should I do? So then Vibhishana said that this Samudra Deva is actually your ancestor, so you should pray to him. Now, Lord Ram, being the omniscient personality, he knew that Samudra Deva is actually quite arrogant and he's not going to listen to my plea. But still, he pleaded to Samudra Deva. And when Samudra Deva was not answering his plea, at that time he took out his bow and arrow to fire it at Samudra Deva. So even though Lord Ram knew that Vibhishana's suggestion was not practical or Vibhishana's suggestion would not work, still he did it because he wanted to show that he can fix the things which are not working. So this is essentially the characteristic of Lord Ram, how he can turn an impossible situation into a situation that works well for him or situation that is more profitable for him. And that is the definition of a Samartha person. So, any questions on that one? No? Okay, I think that was also quite straightforward. So, the next one is uh, Chaika Priya Darshana. Actually, it is Eka Priya Darshana. Cha means and. So, and Eka Priya Darshana. So, Eka Priya Darshana means one who is extremely pleasing to look at. So, the acharyas describe it as being that um, like one whose beauty one wants to admire it day and night and who is not satisfied by admiring his beauty. So this actually is not possible for an ordinary man. So an ordinary man may be beautiful at some time in the day, or woman may be beautiful at some point, like maybe after they put makeup on and all of that, but they're not pleasing to look at all different times. So this is actually a feature that is there only in the Supreme Lord and his par excellent devotees like Lakshmana, Bharata, Sugriva, Sita, sorry, not Sugriva. So all of these Vishnu Dutas, or not Vishnu Dutas, Vishnu Tattvas, sorry, have this quality of being extremely pleasing to look at. Now, are there any examples of Lord Ram's beauty and how Lord Ram's beauty had captivated everyone? Yeah, actually, there are plenty of examples. So, one of the examples that is described, actually, it's described by Kulashekar Alvar. So, Kulashekar Alvar was a pure devotee of the Lord who wrote this poem called Mukundamala Stotra. And Kulashekar Alvar actually, once he went into his meditation and in his trance, and he entered into the mood of Dashratha. And he explains that Dashratha would often call Rama. He would say, Rama, come here. And then he would tell Rama, go away. Then he would say, Rama, come here. Then he would say, Rama, go away. Then he would say, Rama, come. And then Rama, go away. So Kulashekar Alvar was very surprised by this behavior of Dashrath Maharaj. He was saying, why, when Lord Rama was a young boy, why is Dashratha doing this? Calling him and then sending him back. Calling him, sending him back. Calling him, sending him back. So then Kulashekar Alvar actually replies, he says that the reason is that there are two forms of beauty actually. So one is called Saundaryam and one is called Lavanyam. Now, some of you may have heard these words, some of you may be hearing them for the first time. What is Saundaryam? Saundaryam means the beauty of one part alone, and Lavanyam means the overall beauty of something. So let's say, like, if someone is admiring the beauty of the Lord's eyes, they will be focused on the eyes. They will not be able to admire the whole beauty of the Lord. And the other one is called Lavanyam, where you are admiring the whole beauty of the Lord. Like from a distance, you're admiring the whole Lord by himself. So Dashrath Maharaj was admiring the Saundaryam of the Lord. So when he would call the Lord, he would obviously only be able to see the Lord from the front, and he could only focus on certain parts of the Lord's body. So, but he wanted to admire the Lavanyam of the Lord. So that is why he would send the Lord away. Okay, you go. So then he can see the Lord from the back, and then he can appreciate the beauty of the Lord from the back. But then when he would be admiring the Lavanyam, he would be missing the Saundaryam of the Lord's face. So then he would call the Lord again. Okay, please come back. So then the Lord would come back, and then he would appreciate the Saundaryam again. And then he would miss the Lavanyam again. Oh, I can't appreciate the Lord in full. So then he would send the Lord away. Okay, go back. So he said this behavior of the Lord captivates the mind of Kulashekar Alvar. So Kulashekar Alvar deeply meditates on this, and he is extremely in complete bliss just by thinking about this ecstasy of Dashrath Maharaj. So we see that right from the beginning of Lord Ram's life, when he was a child, he was extremely pleasing to look at. Now, what was the color of Lord Ram? Lord Ram was quite dark in color. So he was not applying Fair and Lovely cream and all of these makeup creams or anything like that. He was quite dark, and he was still extremely pleasing to look at. So in Vedic times, or at least in previous times, color was not really a prerequisite for beauty, even though now it has become so. And actually, even Draupadi, it is described, if you look at Mahabharata, it is described that Draupadi was known as Krishna. Krishna, why? Because she was actually quite dark in color. But it is described in Mahabharata itself that when Draupadi came into the assembly of her Swayamvara, it is described all the women that were present in the assembly, they felt that their women birth is useless. Why? They said that in the body of women, they are not able to appreciate the beauty of Draupadi as much as if they already had a body of a man. So if they were saying that the men can appreciate the beauty of Draupadi even more. So Draupadi was also extremely pleasing to look at, and it had nothing to do with her bodily color, you can say. So that this was essentially the same quality of Lord Ram. When Lord Ram enters into the kingdom of Mithila, at that time also, like Janak Maharaj, he becomes extremely captivated by the Lord's beauty. And he is also saying, like, who are these two resplendent personalities, these two extremely beautiful personalities? They look like two Ashwini Kumaras, Rama and Lakshmana. They were extremely pleasing to look at. And then when Lord Ram was getting married, it is described that like the women of Mithila, they were appreciating this marriage ceremony of Ram and Sita, and they were seeing that like the women could not, they were completely unsatisfied. It is described like some women were looking at the Lord's eyes, some were looking at his shoulders, some were looking at his feet, and none of them could appreciate the Lord in whole, because at that time they were doing the feras, so they were doing like 7 times around the fire, they were walking around that. So then at that time, the women were completely captivated, and they were completely restless because they could not appreciate the beauty of the Lord. So that is what we see. And Rama's beauty, okay, sure, like if his devotees appreciate his beauty, that is one thing. But even Lord Rama's enemies appreciated his beauty. Like there is the example of Viradha and Kabandha. So these are two demons that are there in the forest of Dandakaranya. And it is quite interesting because they actually scold Ram and Lakshman. They say that like we are living in the forest, and we are so used to seeing the sages who are like completely unkempt. Like the sages, like they don't eat anything, and they don't perform any like tapasya or anything. Sorry, they perform tapasya, but they're not like, they don't eat as much, so they're pretty skinny, and they don't look after themselves, so they have like locks of hair and stuff. They're pretty unkempt, you could say, the sages of Dandakaranya. So the Rakshasas say that, like we are so used to seeing these sages. And then when you have come, they're saying that you have stolen our mind completely. The Rakshasas, Kabanda and Virada say this. So these two Rakshasas are saying that, and they're scolding Ram. And they're saying, because of this, they're saying we are so attracted to you that we are forgetting our Rakshasa quality. We actually want to like cut you and eat you. And we're not able to do that. So even the enemies of Lord Ram were appreciating his beauty. So much so that Surpanakha, when Surpanakha's nose was cut, obviously we know that Surpanakha was attracted by the beauty of the Lord. But then when Lakshmana cut her nose and her ears, at that time she goes to Khara and Dushana. And over there, how does she describe Ram and Lakshman? She actually praises them. She says, she actually uses it's a very nice shloka, which says, Tarunau Rupa Sampannau Sukumarau Mahabalau. She's saying, Pundarika Vishalakshau Chira Krishna Jinambarau. So she is like describing the beauty of the Lord. She is saying, Tarunau Rupa Sampannau. Their Rupa is completely, it's so beautiful. Rupa Sampanna. It is like completely packed with bliss and ecstasy. They are Tarunau. They are very young. Sukumarau Mahabalau. They are just like two young princes and they have a lot of valor. Pundarika Vishalakshau. So she's saying that their eyes are just like
Lotus.
lotus. Yeah, they're saying that their eyes are just like lotus and they're so large. Chira Krishna Jinambarau, which means Chira means white and Krishna means dark. So Rama and Lakshmana was Chira and Rama was dark. And this was their skin color. And they were extremely pleasing to look at. So Surpanakha, after having her nose cut, she is still captivated by Lord Ram's beauty. So you can just imagine how much Lord Ram would have been beautiful. And there is one more example that when Lord Ram had killed Vali, and Vali was giving his final instructions to Angada and his wife Tara. At that time, he also glorifies the beauty of the Lord. He says that Lord Ram, actually, I am so fortunate that when I am dying, I am seeing this like this beautiful form of yours. So even Vali, while he was dying, he was glorifying the beauty of the Lord. So this is the meaning of Eka Priya Darshanam, which means that the Lord's form is extremely pleasing to look at. There is another meaning of this, which is quite interesting actually, which is Eka Priya Darshana, which means that when Lord Ram looks at someone, their life becomes completely successful or they become immediately blessed. So one thing is that Lord Ram becomes blessed by when other people see him. And another thing is that when Lord Ram sees someone, their lives become completely blessed. And that is why the Ayodhya Vasis, when they were telling Dashrath that Lord Ram is fit to become king, they say that if we have seen Lord Ram, but Lord Ram has not seen us, they say, what is the point in our life? They says it is better that we commit suicide. So they say that if Lord Ram has not cast his glance upon us, then what is the point in our lives? And this is the same mood that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, our Acharya, he also carried, that it is more important that Lord Ram sees us rather than we trying to see Lord Ram. And this is what Shabari says as well. Like when Lord Ram goes to visit Shabari in her ashram, at that time, Lord Shabari also says that, Lord, as soon as you have cast your vision upon me, as soon as you have seen me, she says, my life has become completely blissful and my life has become completely sanctified and purified. So Shabari also accepted that the vision of the Lord was more important than us seeing the Lord or us trying to see the Lord. Now, this does not mean that we should not try to see the Lord, but it means that we should also endeavor to make the Lord see us at some point, because the vision of the Lord is more important. And that is why it is said that we have to go to the temple to take darshan of the Lord. We're not going to temple so that we can see the Lord, but we're going to the temple so that the Lord can see us. And this was the mood conveyed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well. And all of the acharyas, they agree with this uh, definition as well. So any questions on this one? No. Okay, so we will move on. So these are the last few qualities. Atmavan ko jita krodho dhyutiman ko anasuya kaha kasya bibhyati devascha jata roshasya samyuge. So we will discuss Atmavan, Dhyutiman, Anasuyaka. We'll discuss these three, and then we'll discuss Kojita, Krodha, and Kashya Bibyati Devascha together because they are actually contradicting qualities. So it's quite interesting. So first one is Atmavan. So what is the meaning of Atmavan? Atmavan has several meanings actually. So Atmavan can mean one who is self-controlled, as it is described in this verse. But Atmavan has many other meanings also, which the Acharyas explained. So the Acharyas explain that Atmavan means that how the Lord considers himself to be a human being. In fact, Lord Ram says, Atmanam Manushyam Manye Ramam Dashrath Atmajam, which means when Lord Vishnu was asked about, like, how are we going to kill Ravana and how are we going to kill um, how are we going to kill Ravana and how are we going to kill Kumbhakarna? Then at that time, Lord Vishnu makes this statement. He says that actually, Atmana Manushim Manye, that I consider my Atma to be a human being. Atmana Manushim Manye Ramam Dashrath Atmajam, which means that I will incarnate as Rama, who will be the son of Dashratha, he explains. So, how do we know that Lord Ram came as a human being rather than coming as the Supreme Lord? There is one particular example which shows that he came as a human being rather than coming as the Supreme Lord. Like king, yeah, God can come as a king, like he was a king, that's fine. Accepting his father's order, that doesn't really show that he is that doesn't really show that he is coming as a human being because he could be accepting the order to fulfill some other purpose also, as we see. Like he accepted his father's order so that he could kill Ravana and Kumbhakarna. But there is one particular incident in Ramayana, incident in the Valmiki Ramayana, where Lord Ram's human nature is shown, like how he is a human. What is, and this actually requires understanding of philosophy. So what is the tattva of jiva? Like what is the essential nature of a jiva? What is the feature which differentiates jiva from the Supreme Lord? Like if you want to distinguish between a spirit soul from the Supreme Lord, what is the characteristic which separates both of them? No, this is very basic. We should know this. Unless
One is
people are not listening. Hmm?
Anu and Bibu Prabhu.
One is big, one is small. No, actually, a lot of Vishnu tattvas can also be Vibhu, but they are still like uh, because there's a huge hierarchy like between Jivatmas and between the Lord. Like you have many Vishnu tattvas in the middle, you have Avesha avtaras in the middle, and then you have like Balaram, for example, you have Radharani, for example, like these are like somewhat parts of the Supreme Lord. So like where do you draw the line? Like which one is Jivatma, which one is like for example the Madhva Sampradaya, they consider even Lakshmi to be a Jivatma. Now, that makes no sense to us because we consider Lakshmi to be a Shakti, but Srila Prabhupada says that there may be some truth to it. So, like, what is the essential, what is the difference in essential nature between the Paramatma and between the Jivatma?
Jivatma always searching for this to serve the Lord.
Yeah, so
And
Jivatma is always the servant. Yeah, because this is the Charama shloka that we should remember from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Like if we don't remember any other shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita, at least we should know this one, which is Jivera Swarup Hoye Nittera Krishna Das. Like if you don't remember anything else, at least we should remember this, that the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to be a servant of the Supreme Lord. So being a servant is the natural quality of a human being, whereas being the master is the natural quality of the Supreme Lord. So that is why we have to remember that whenever the Lord says that I have come in the form of a human being, We have to, and if you want to give an example to show how the Lord has come in the form of a human being, you have to give an example where he has come in the form of a servant. You have to show how he acted as a servant. So, what is the example where Lord Ram acted as a servant?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
No, in Ram Avatar actually.
Follow the orders of Dashrath Maharaj, Kaikeyi, and
Mm, yeah, maybe, but he doesn't explicitly say that he is the servant of Dashrath Maharaj. He says he's my father, so I'm listening to him. But the best example, as I've already said before, is Vishwamitra. So when Vishwamitra comes, at that time, Lord Ram says, King Karau Samupasthito, which means that I am your servant and I am eager to render all kinds of service to you. So you please give me any kind of service. So this shows that the Lord actually wants to engage in the service of his pure devotees, or want to engage in the service of um, his guru. Now you think about this pastime, it's actually quite an interesting pastime, like how Vishwamitra came to get the Lord. Why did Vishwamitra come to take the Lord from Dashrath Maharaj? He says, okay, I need protection to perform a yajna. But if you actually look into Vishwamitra's history, how long was this yajna does anyone know the length of this yajna that Lord Ram protected for Vishwamitra? How long it was? How many days, weeks, months? How long did it last? And when did Tadaka appear? Like on what day did Tadaka and Marich appear?
no idea, bro.
Yeah, this yajna lasted 6 days. And on the sixth day, these Tadaka, Marich, and all of them, they appeared. And Lord Ram, he killed Tadaka and Subahu, and he banished Maricha. So it only lasted 6 days. Vishwamitra, if you read his history, he has performed yajnas which have lasted for more than 1 year without the help of anyone. So he did not need the help of Rama, he did not need the help of Lakshmana or even Dashratha at that time. And he still did not have to lift up his weapon to protect his yajna. So why did Vishwamitra come to Dashratha to ask for protection of his yajna for a yajna which was only lasting for 6 days? He has performed many, many big yajnas before, but he is still asking for the help of Lord Ram for protection of this 6 day yajna. And the reason is that Vishwamitra says, he says, Aham Vedvi Mahatmanam Ramam Satyam Parakramam. He says that I know the true nature of your Lord. I know the true nature of your son. He says, Aham Vedvi Mahatmanam. Why? Because I am a Mahatma. He says, I know the true nature of the Lord. He needs to show, Vishwamitra's mission is to show the whole world that Lord Ram can act as a servant, which is why he comes to take Lord Ram to protect his yajna. So he is actually not interested in Lord Ram protecting his yajna. That is just a superficial reason. Like it's just an excuse. The deeper reason or the real reason is that he wants to show the whole world that Lord Ram has actually come in the form of a man. Why? Because he is rendering service unto me. I have asked him to protect the yajna and he is protecting the yajna, just like a servant would protect his master, or just like a servant would listen to his master. And this is where the greatness of Valmiki Ramayana lies. That if you read Ramayana carefully, you will see how each of the characters of Ramayana are actually trying to glorify the Lord, and how the Lord is trying to glorify all of the devotees. So by this act of protecting the sacrifice of Vishwamitra, we see that Lord Ram establishes his position as a Manushya. Um, and that is why he makes that famous statement that Manushim Manye, Atmanam Manushim Manye. It means I consider myself to be a human being. Why? Because I render service to my Guru. So this is the real reason why Vishwamitra comes to take Lord Ram over there. So this is one of the instances where Lord Ram shows that he is a servant. And there is another instance also. The other instance is that when Lord Ram kills this demon called Kabandha in the forest, he asks Kabandha, like my wife Sita has been missing. Where do I go and find her? So then at that time, Kabandha says that go down into the kingdom of Kishkinda. Over there, you will find one monkey called Sugriva, help him free his wife, and after that, Sugriva will help you find your wife Sita. So it is explained that at that time, Rama does not do any second inquiries, that why is Sugriva fighting with his brother, and why should I side with Sugriva? Why should I not side with his brother Vali, etc.? No. His devotee Kabandha has told him that he needs to side with Sugriva. So therefore, he follows the order of Kabandha. In fact, when he meets Sugriva, he tells him that I am going to form a friendship with you because Kabandha has told me to do so. So actually, he considers the order of Kabandha to be his devotee to be higher than his own, you could say, so-called intelligence. He did not use any of his own intelligence. He just obeyed the order of Kabandha, and he became he formed an alliance with Sugriva. It is explained at that time. So this shows how the Lord is Atmavan, how he comes and he portrays himself as a normal human being. So, any questions on that one? I hope that made sense, that one. Yeah. Okay. So next one is Kojita Krodha, we will skip because we'll cover that later. And Dhyutiman is the next quality of the Lord. What is the meaning of Dhyutiman? Anyone with like Hindi? What is it? Anyone? Is everyone still there? Or
Yeah, it's splendorous.
splendorous. That's right. So it means that he was splendorous means what? Splendorous means that he had teja, or it means that it's a very abstract topic, or it's a very abstract quality of the Lord, like being Dhyutiman or resplendent. But this actually is said by both Lord Ram and by Sita. So there is this statement which is actually um, said by both Lord Ram and Sita, which compares Lord Ram to the sun and Sita to the sun rays. And basically it says, Ananya Raghavendraha Bhaskarena Prabhayatha, which means that both Rama and Sita said this, that Rama says that I am like the sun and Sita is like the sunshine. And Sita also says the same thing to Ravana in Sundarkanda. She says that Rama is like the sun and I am like his sunshine. So both of them, I am like his rays or Prabha. So from this we understand that Lord Ram or actually had a countenance, or he had qualities such that they glorify him throughout the world. And if Lord Ram is compared to the sun, then Sita is compared to sunshine, which means that there is no difference between them. So this is one place where they have both mentioned that uh, like Rama and Sita are like sun and sunshine. So the relationship between sun and sunshine is that they cannot separate. You cannot separate the sun from sunshine, and you cannot separate sunshine from sun. Even though superficially it may look like, clouds have covered the sun and the sunshine has gone away. It may look like it at some point, but actually that's not the case. Interestingly enough, it is described that even in Vamana avatar, like when the Lord came as a Naistika Brahmachari, at that time also he had Lakshmi within his heart, like he had Lakshmi in the form of the Srivatsa. So he did not get rid of the Srivatsa mark from his chest. In fact, that Srivatsa mark was just covered by his deer skin. So he wore a deer skin and he covered it, but actually that Srivatsa mark was there. So it is not possible for anyone to separate Lord Ram from Sita or Sita from Lord Ram, although superficially it may look like it. But on the deeper level and on the philosophical level, it is completely um, impossible for anyone to separate Lord Ram and Sita. So actually, Dhyutiman refers to the fact that Lord Ram and Sita can never be separated. That is actually the real meaning of Dhyutiman. Now you might think, wow, that's like, if you're just reading the translation, you would never ever think about it. But actually, like, that is the meaning that the Acharyas give. That Dhyutiman means that the Lord and his energy or Sita Devi are never separated. Okay. So next quality of the Lord is Anasuyakaha. Anasuyakaha means, what is the meaning of Anasuyakaha?
Non-envious.
Non-envious. So
Non-envious.
yeah, so Anasuyakaha means if someone is Anasuya, it means that they are non-envious. Just a trivia. Does anyone know who was Anasuya, the female?
Virgo's wife?
No, her name was Kapya Mata. Bhrigu.
Oh, sorry. Forgot his name. He caused her to be motionless.
Yeah, anyone know who is Anasuya's?
Agastya Rishi wife.
No, not Agastya Rishi. Before you Google, anyone? No one? Here's Atri Rishi's wife. Yeah, so Atri Rishi was another Rishi who was there in the forest, and his wife was Anasuya. So Anasuya, actually, the Acharyas described that Anasuya does not mean that she was not envious, but Anasuya, like there are two people, there are two kinds of people. Like, like if someone is on the same level as you can become envious of them. But some people are like so above and beyond your game that you cannot be envious of them. And that is what the Acharyas say, that Anasuya, the female personality who's mentioned in Ramayana, her character was like that, like no one could be envious of her because she was just above and beyond everyone else's game. Like the amount of tapasya she had performed, her level of chastity, it was just not seen in this world. So that is why no one would be envious of her. Because, like, do you ever get envious of the Prime Minister of India? Or do you ever get envious of the Prime Minister of Australia? No, because we are ordinary living people, we are ordinary beings, and they are like really, really high. Their level is so high above us. So we don't get envious of them because we're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like they're meant to be in that position, that's okay. But we get envious of people who are on the same level as us. Like people we see every day, we get envious of them. Oh, how is it that, this person is singing more nicely? How is it that this person is doing more service than me? Blah, blah, blah. Like we become more envious of people who are on the superficially on the same level as us. So like for us devotees, there is no question of becoming envious of Srila Prabhupada. Like we always hold Srila Prabhupada in high regard. But his godbrothers were very much envious of him because they considered Srila Prabhupada to be just like one of their own. So they're like, oh, how is it that he is preaching so nicely, but we are not able to preach so nicely? So Anasuya means, one of the meanings is that, when someone is so high or at such an elevated level that it is hard to become envious of them. But still, the acharyas say that actually, there were many people, because the Lord came down in the form of a man. He said so many people became envious of him. In fact, Vedanta Desika, there is one very prominent acharya in the Sri Vaishnavas, and he makes a very nice statement. He says that as long as Asuya Devi is awake, so there is Anasuya, which means non-jealous, and there is Asuya. Asuya means jealous. So the Devi or the demigoddess who is responsible for jealousy, he says that as long as the Asuya Devi is awake, he says that even Lord Vishnu cannot escape her wrath, or even Lord Vishnu cannot escape her judgment. Why? Because many people are so envious of Lord Ram. Like they say that, why did Lord Ram, like many people say that I would rather have a I would rather have a brother like Ravana instead of having a husband like Rama, because Ravana wanted to protect his sister, but Lord Ram abandoned his own wife. So people say things like that. Or they will say that, Lord Rama was such a coward that he shot Vali from the back. So there are many, many people who are envious of Lord Ram. Even if Lord Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, still there are many, many people who are envious of him. So how is it possible so that is how he explains. And then he says that when this Asuya Devi, when the goddess of jealousy, when she sleeps, then people are able to actually appreciate the good qualities of Lord Ram. But if we take the more traditional definition of Asuyakaha, Anasuyakaha, which means that Lord Ram is not jealous of anyone. How is it possible for a person to not be jealous of everyone? So the Acharyas explain that the only way for the Lord to be not jealous of anyone is because the Lord has this form of Vatsalya. Because for the Lord, everyone is his progeny. The Lord thinks of everyone as his children. And that is why do we ever see a father becoming jealous of his child? Like, you never see that. In fact, the father is always proud of his children, or he may be disappointed in his children, but father is generally never envious of his child. So that is the same mentality that the Lord has. The Lord always looks at all of his devotees or people who have surrendered unto him as his children. And that is why he is not envious of them. And there is a very nice word that the Acharyas have used, which is Vatsalya. They say that the Lord has this quality of Vatsalya towards everyone. And that is why it is said that Lord Ram never stood in the fame of another personality. So now think about this. Like, if, let's say, you have helped someone achieve something, or let's say you have single-handedly achieved something for someone else. Let's say person A comes to me and asks me for help with the IELTS exam, or for some whatever exam, I don't know, like some medical exam. And then I give him some help. In fact, not just help, I tutor him from start to beginning, and then I help him in every way. I do all of his assignments, all of his homework and everything. So much so that, let's say, I even go and sit the exam for him, and then he passes. And then what will happen? Like, if it is an ordinary personality like us, we will go around saying that actually, yeah, it was not this person who did this, who achieved this entrance into medical school. It was actually me. But Lord Ram was not like that. Even though Lord Ram would do everything for someone, he would still give the credit, or he would still give the benefit to someone else. Why? Because he was not envious of anyone. The best example of this is with Sugriva. So we see that when Lord Ram helped Sugriva get his kingdom, at that time Chaturmasya started. And when Chaturmasya started, Sugriva offered the Lord to stay in his kingdom with him. Why? Because he said in Chaturmasya, we cannot go searching for your wife. So you better stay in my kingdom and I will give you hospitality. But Lord Ram thought that if he stays in the kingdom with Sugriva, then he said that all the kings and everyone, including Sugriva, will come to serve me, and they will all respect me because I am the one who killed Vali, and everyone will think that I deserve more respect than Vali. So Lord Ram said, no, I will not stay in your kingdom. I will stay in a mountain outside. I will stay in a cave outside your kingdom. And when you're ready, we will go. So this is the great magnanimity of Lord Ram, that he was not willing to accept hospitality at the hands of Sugriva if he felt that Sugriva's position would be minimized in front of other people. So Lord Ram was very, very cautious about these things. He was completely non-envious. He did not want to take credit for killing Vali, and he did not want to be served because he had killed Vali. He was very, very like calm and collected. He just went and stayed in another uh, like cave outside. It's the same with Vibhishana. Like when Lord Ram killed Ravana, at that time he was the rightful heir of, or he was the rightful ruler of Lanka, because if you defeat a king, you become the ruler of that place. But what did Lord Ram do? Lord Ram actually gave the whole kingdom to Vibhishana. He said, no, you rule on this land. It rightfully belongs to you. So he gave it, and he did not stay in Lanka even for a day. Immediately on that same day, he flew back towards India because he did not want to receive unnecessary hospitality from them. He did not want everyone to glorify him. So this shows that the Lord was completely non-envious. He did not want to stand in the glory of another man, or he did not want someone else's glory to come to him. He was happy to see his devotees being glorified by their own kinsmen and by their own praja, you could say. And such great character of the Lord that he is not envious of any personality. And we see the most practical place where Lord Ram shows his non-enviousness is when he asks Vibhishana to perform the final rites of Ravan. Like Ravana had caused so much suffering to Lord Ram and Lord Rama's devotees as well. But still, Lord Ram forgave him at the end, and he said that, we should not be envious and you should perform his final rites. So this shows how magnanimous the Lord is and how completely non-envious he is as well. So you see, this is how like you can take so many different meanings out of you can actually cover the whole Valmiki Ramayana through these qualities of the Lord. So now we will discuss the last two qualities which we left till right at the end, which are ko jita krodho and kashya bibhyati devascha jata roshasya samyuge. What do these mean? They are actually contradicting qualities. So first one, jita krodho, ko jita krodho, which means one who has conquered anger, one who has complete control over anger. So one who has conquered anger, you could say. Second quality is Kashya Bibhyati Devasya Jata Roshasya Samyuge, which means that one whose anger is so intense that even the devas are afraid of his anger. So on one hand, you have one whose anger is controlled, and on the other hand, you have a person whose anger is so uncontrollable. So how do we reconcile these two qualities? Any idea? So Lord Ram was controlled in his anger. At the same time, his anger was so much that even the devas would get scared.
So, despite he had this characteristic of being very angry, he knew when to use it and when not to use it, and that's where the Jita Krodha comes. He could control, or जीत उसके ऊपर जीत थी उनकी. Something like that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, Jita Krodho does not mean that he does not get angry. Jita Krodho means that he knows when to use the anger and knows when to stop using that anger. Like he knows it's not like essentially in the Ramayana, if you read the first few chapters of Ramayana, the Acharyas describe that Lord Rama's anger was always with purpose. Like whenever Lord Ram would get angry, he would achieve his purpose. It's not like us. Like that's a complete contradiction to us. Like when do we get angry? We get angry, let's say I want to go to eat dosha and I'm going to the dosha shop and when I arrive there, the dosha place is shut. So then I get angry. I'm like, oh no, why the dosha place is shut? I'm so angry. I'm so annoyed. So what does our anger do? Our anger does not achieve any purpose. But the Lord's anger, when the Lord gets angry, his anger actually achieves its purpose. So this is the meaning of ko jita krodho, which means that when he gets angry, he is able to achieve his purpose. It's not like us. Like when we get angry, like imagine like we are walking down the street and then some thief comes and steals our bag from us. Now we get angry. Oh no, like thief stole my bag from me, etc. We get angry for like maybe not just one day, but for few days. But what does our anger actually achieve? Our anger achieves nothing because we can't catch the thief and we can't get our bag back. But Lord Ram's anger was not like that. When he got angry at a particular person or at a particular situation, at that time he was able to achieve his purpose. So this is a very, very different way of looking at anger as well. So he knew how to use anger to achieve its means. So that is why we see that when Lord Ram was exiled into the forest, Lord Ram did not become angry because he did not want to change the course of action at that time. He was happy with being sent into the forest. So he accepted that and he did not get angry at that because he knew even if he got angry, he could have changed the course, but he did not want to get angry at that time. So because he didn't want to change the course of his action. But when did Lord Ram get angry? So the Lord got angry when his devotees were insulted. Like when Jayanta, the crow, when he bit Sita, at that time Lord Ram got angry, and with his anger, he actually punished that crow. Then, when Lord Ram got angry at Samudra Deva for not showing up after praying for 3 days, at that time also Lord Ram accomplished his mission. That, Lord Ram wanted to cross the ocean and he crossed the ocean by getting angry at Samudra Deva. When Hanuman was injured by Ravana during the fight of Ramayana, like right at the end in Lanka, at that time when Lord Ram got angry, he achieved his purpose by killing Ravana as well. It's not like he just got angry and he didn't do anything about it, like just anger because of guilt, etc. So that does not work. Now, where is this one incident where Lord Rama got angry and the Devas actually became scared of him? It's very interesting that Valmiki finishes with this quality actually. So this is the last quality of the Lord. But there is one instance where when the Lord got angry, all of the devas became extremely terrified.
Prabhu, when Ravan abducted Sita Mata,
No,
that time?
actually, the devas were not. Actually, Rama was more sad and disappointed at that time. Of course, he was angry for a little time, but we don't see the devas getting scared of Lord Ram's anger at that time. But good thought, good thought. Anyone? No one?
Or maybe when Samudra was not giving way to Sri
Yeah,
Ram to cross path.
actually, no, because at that time the devas were not scared. Yeah, the devas did not get scared. At least in Ramayana, there is no description that the devas came and they were scared of the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, there is one incident where all the devas appeared in front of the Lord when they saw him get angry. And that was when Lord Ram asked Sita to perform the Agni Pariksha. I mean, Lord Ram did not ask Sita to perform the Agni Pariksha, but Lord Ram seemingly became angry at Sita and he rejected Sita in front of everyone in the battlefield. At that time, not only were all of the devas scared, everyone was scared, including Lakshmana, Vibhishana, and all of the monkeys. There was complete pin drop silence in the whole battlefield. Can you imagine monkeys being pin drop silent? Like, that was one incident where Lord Ram, when he rejected Sita in front of everyone, that scared all of the demigods. All of the demigods, including Lord Brahma, including Indra, Varuna, Vayu, everyone came from the sky and they fell at the Lord's feet and they're asking the Lord, Lord, what are you doing? We don't understand this behavior of yours. Because the Lord appeared so angry at that time when he was rejecting Sita. Now, it is described that, Lord Brahma came and Lord Brahma was confused. Lord Brahma is telling Lord Ram that, I don't understand this behavior of yours. He says that in a previous yuga, you incarnated as Varahadev to save this very Bhumi Devi. And in this incarnation of yours, you're rejecting that same Bhumi Devi. He becomes so scared and he becomes so bewildered. All of the devas, they become scared and they become terrified. And they all come and offer prayers and respectful obeisances unto the Lord when he becomes angry with Sita. But the Lord still does not change his attitude of anger at all until Sita decides to enter into the Agni. She makes the fire, she enters into the fire, and then when she comes out of that fire being completely clean, at that point, Lord Ram sheds his anger. Yeah. So this we see is how actually it's quite an interesting quality that how all of the devas became scared at the anger of the Lord. They were not scared when the Lord's anger was directed at the demons. Like, yeah, sure, like the Lord can kill the demons. But when the Lord's anger was directed towards his devotee, that is more terrifying to the Lord. Sorry, to everyone else. Because how can the Lord get angry with his devotees? But actually, we saw that that anger of the Lord was actually meant for Sita's glorification and for Sita's welfare. So that is why the Lord did it. The Lord has no animosity against Sita. In fact, the Lord loves Sita so much. Actually, to finish off, I'll share with you a very nice anecdote. So in Sundarkanda, we see that when Lord Ram sends a message with Hanuman to Sita in Lanka, Sita also sends a message to Lord Ram through Hanuman. And that is why it's called Sundarkanda, because the messages are quite Sundara. So what message does Sita send to Lord Ram? Sita tells Lord Ram that if you don't come within 1 month, I will commit suicide. I will not be able to live if you don't come within 1 month. Lord Ram, when he hears this message from Hanuman, what does he say? Lord Ram says, I cannot tolerate living without Sita even for a minute. So now there's two different messages. Sita is saying that I cannot tolerate living for Lord Ram for more than without Lord Ram for more than 1 month, and at the same time, Lord Ram is saying that I cannot tolerate living without Sita for 1 minute or even a moment. He says. So who is greater here now, based on this description? What do you think? Sita is still able to survive without Lord Ram for 1 month. But Lord Ram is not able to survive without Sita for even a minute or with even a moment. So, who is greater here?
Sita is greater.
Why?
Because if Ram says that he cannot live without her for a moment, then why doesn't he act? He doesn't need any army, he doesn't need anything. He should act immediately.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess so. I
He
mean,
has all the power.
yeah, the answer is right, but actually, the explanation for the answer is actually there in the statement itself. That Lord Ram is saying that he cannot live without Sita for more than a minute. That means Sita's qualities must be so great that Lord Ram cannot live without her for even a minute. Whereas Sita is saying she can live without Lord Ram for up to a month. That means Lord Ram's qualities must not be that great as compared to Sita's. That, like she can tolerate separation from him for up to a month as well. But Lord Ram cannot tolerate separation from Sita even for a moment, especially after hearing the message of Sita. That's what Lord Ram said. So we see that he actually acts immediately. As soon as he finds out that Sita is there in Lanka, at that time he gets into action straight away. Like, okay, this is how we go about it. But yeah, quite interesting that Lord Ram says that he cannot live without Sita for even a moment, which shows that Sita's qualities were much greater than Lord Ram's qualities. This is again a very Rasik way of looking at the Ramayana, and it shows how Lord Ram and Sita were practically inseparable. Just they were Dhyutiman, meaning that like it was just like his resplendence, just like sun and sunshine cannot be separated. So, having said this, we have completed the 16 qualities of the Lord. And if there are any questions or anything you want to discuss more or anything you'd like to discuss, we can do that now.
Prabhu,
See, the
just
Agni Parikshas, there were one or two Agni Parikshas for Sita Mata.
Agni Pariksha was only one. The second time she was asked to do an Agni Pariksha, but she refused to do it in front of everyone. So, second time in Uttarkanda, she just goes into the ground instead. So, yeah, there were two times when she was asked to prove her chastity in front of everyone. Hmm.
So, what prompted the Agni Pariksha at this time that you just described?
The first time.
Hmm.
First time, essentially, it is explained in Yuddhakanda. So in Yuddhakanda, Lord Ram, when he understood that, Sita is going to come, Lord Ram was thinking, Lord Ram knows in his heart that Sita is pure. But Lord
Hmm.
Ram thought that even though I will accept Sita is pure, no one else, people may still doubt the character of Sita. People will still ask this question whether Sita is pure or not. So he said that better I perform this Agni Pariksha before accepting her. And in this way, it will be testified in front of all of the demigods, like all the Devi Devtas will be present, all the monkey army will be present, all the Rakshasas will be present as well. So that is why Lord Ram did this Agni Pariksha in front of everyone to prove to the whole world at that time that Sita's character is pure. So that is why Lord Ram orchestrated this whole pastime at that particular moment, like just after the war, to show everyone that Sita is pure. But obviously, as we explained, that when enviousness is there, people will doubt the character of the Lord, even though Lord Ram proved it time and again. That, like there is no need to question my ability. Like I have proved the chastity of Sita already, but still there were people doubting the character of Sita. So then at that point, Lord Ram had no other option than to abandon Sita, which we discussed previously also. Hmm. That the Lord can do everything to protect us, and the Lord's decisions are always perfect, but we still doubt them. Yeah, so that is what is shown through this pastime, actually. Hmm.
Prabhu, I have a question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Where there was an instance where you gave an example of Ram and Bali. My question is, L- Lord Ram being a Lord,
Hmm.
why did he need to hide or just kind of take a shadow of a tree to kill Bali, although he could just kill him by just kind of,
Hmm.
उनके सामने खड़े होकर he could just kill
Hmm.
him and it wouldn't bother him at all.
Hmm. So,
So,
Yeah, actually, that
Why
question.
did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Vali asked this question to Ram as well. So it's interesting to see how Lord Ram answered it. So I'll use Lord Ram's answer for that. So when Vali asked Lord Ram, why did you kill me from the back? Why did you not kill me from the front? Lord Ram said that actually, Vali, if you look at your character, he said, you're not behaving like a man. He said, you're not behaving like a warrior. He said, you stole your brother's wife and you kicked out your brother without even having a fair discussion or fair trial with him. So he said that you're acting just like an animal. So he said, I am the prince of Ayodhya. He considered himself to be prince still. Even though he was the king, he considered himself to be the prince. And he said, Bharat is the king and he has sent me to this forest to make sure dharma is preserved. He said that if you are acting like an animal and I am the prince of Ayodhya, he said it is very common for Kshatriyas to hunt animals from behind a tree. And he said that's exactly what I did. Like if you're hunting an animal, no one asks a question whether why didn't you come in front of the animal and hunt the animal like that. So I just hunted you from the back. So this is the explanation that Lord Ram gave to Vali at that time. But at the same time, we understand that Lord Ram was also valuing the boon that was given to Vali. So Vali had received a boon from Lord Brahma that if anyone comes in front of him, half of his power would go to that, half of that person's power would go to Vali itself. Now, if Lord Ram, who has infinite power, comes in front of Vali, then Vali would also become infinitely powerful because infinite divided by 2 is still infinite. So Lord Ram wanted to respect this order that respect this boon that Brahma had given him, and that is why he shot Vali from the back. So two of these, I mean, if Lord Ram wants, he can shoot Vali from the front and he can disregard Brahma's order also. He can say that, like, yeah, screw Brahma's boon, no need to worry about it. Like, I will shoot and I will kill Vali right from the front. He could have done it. But when the Lord comes, he actually respects the boons that are given by the demigods. Like we were discussing about Varahadev also. Like, why did the Lord come in the form of Hiranyakashipu? Because the Lord, oh, sorry, why did the Lord come in the form of Narasimhadev, not Hiranyakashipu? Because the Lord was respecting Brahma's boons and benedictions. Why did the Lord come as Varahadev? Because again, he was respecting Brahma's boons. So when the Lord comes, he respects the boons that are given by the demigods and does not want to break them. Even though he is the Supreme Lord and he can break them, he still chooses not to break the boons. And but Lord Ram gave a different explanation to Vali when he killed him. Right, okay? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments or anything you'd like to share or disagree with? I think Jagannath Prabhu was trying to ask something at one point.
Oh, it might not be that quite intelligent to ask you these questions. You just mentioned that Lord Ram's qualities was not that magnanimous, if might be, if we compare to Mother Sita. So it was other way. Sita Mataji could stay without Lord Ram for a month, and Lord Ram wouldn't have been stayed without her for a single minute. So we know the tattva wise we can understand that Lord Ram, if he is a energy, so energetic. Mata Sita is a energy of Lord Ram.
Mm.
So it's like it is like kind of like complex situation
Yeah,
that
of course.
the superiority of the Lord has been bit hijacked or something like that. So
Yeah,
why I'm
whenever we talk about rasa, the superiority of the Lord is definitely hijacked. It's always hijacked. In Vrindavan also, that's always the case. Like Radharani is considered to be Vrindavaneshwari, but Krishna is not considered Vrindavaneshwar. So whenever we talk about rasa, the superiority of the Lord is always reduced. Yeah, but when we talk about tattva, we have to remember that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So this was more of an instance of rasa rather than tattva. Of course, tattva, we understand that, like Krishna is the Supreme Lord and he is the most beautiful personality, etc. Like, yeah, we understand that as tattva, but this is the rasic understanding of things. In rasa, things are quite different. In rasa, Krishna is not the Supreme Lord. Yeah, and in fact, his devotees are greater than him. Otherwise, if his devotees are not greater than him, then how can Mother Yashoda feel that she needs to protect Krishna? How can Dashratha feel that he needs to protect Rama? That no, Rama Una Shodasha Varsho mein, he says that, Rama is not even 16. How can he go and fight the demons, Tadaka and Subahu and Marich? He says, I will come. Yeah, I will take my army of 10,000 and I will defeat those demons. Yeah. So in Rasa, the superiority of the Lord is always reduced. In fact, even his love is always reduced. Yeah. That is why even we see that Jayadev Goswami was confused. That Jayadev Goswami, there is one incident where he was trying to compose Gita Govinda. And over there, we see that in his trance, he saw the vision of Krishna taking Radharani's feet. He is going and asking for Radharani's feet to be placed on his head. He says, Dehi Pada Pallavam. He's saying to Radharani, and Jayadev Goswami just could not understand it. He said, no, it's not possible for the Supreme Lord to ask Radharani to put her feet on his head. And yeah, that is how we understand rasa. Like rasa and tattva are very, very different. And Krishna is not the Supreme Lord.
Right.
छोटू कहाँ है? छोटू
Yeah, he is here, Mataji.
दिखा दो, सो रहा है.
No. I'll stop the recording.
सब राह देख रहे हैं छोटू.